Here is the Crescendo Music Education Podcast, episode number 66. Clickety click. This podcast is being recorded on the lands of the Turrbal people. I acknowledge them as the traditional owners of the land and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. They were the first music makers on this land. Debbie O'Shea here with another episode of the Crescendo Music Education Podcast. I get to talk to Ruth Friend for this and the next episode. So this is part one. My chats just go on for a little bit too long, so I've broken it into two parts. You're going to adore listening to Ruth Friend. She really supports other music educators, and at the later end of her career, like me, she is turning her focus onto supporting other music teachers. Settle back and enjoy my chat with Ruth Friend. Hello and welcome to Ruth Friend. Hello, Ruth.
Hi there, Deb.
I've always liked your last name. I've always, like Friend, Love, those sort of last names. They're so
It's
cool.
a perfect name for teaching primary kids.
Oh, definitely.
They smile. Oh, yeah. As long as I live up to it.
Yes. And you say, you know what? I am. Yes. All right. Now I'm going to start out the way I start out with everybody is I'd like to read your bio, just your brief bio, so that people who haven't met you will get just a quick little background. All right.
Right.
So, music educator and author Ruth Friend passionately supports music teachers to maximise their teaching effectiveness in the classroom and rehearsal room. She is an experienced facilitator in training teachers in the Kodai approach to music education, with 40 years of teaching experience and expertise encompassing classroom music and movement, instrumental and choral programs from kindergarten to university. Ruth's first publication, Put the Beat in Your Feet, for flute, focused on developing independent, creative young musicians. She has since co-authored the successful Take Note Music series of student and teacher books, along with outstanding resources for the music classroom. Ta-da! There you go. Yes.
40 years. I feel so old.
Oh, join the club. We are obviously a similar vintage. Yes.
Yes. And relishing it. It's a lovely place to be.
Oh, I think it is. And I was just reflecting the other day that what a shame it is, in a way, that after this length of time, that's when you're actually starting to feel, actually, I've got my head around this job now.
Absolutely. I feel like I'm really cooking now, and I'm just about, but I think, that there is more ahead for us, and we just have to continue that, to support the young ones coming through. And I think that's our job.
Yes, I think that's a great way of looking at it. But yes, I hear you, because that's exactly the way I'm feeling. So I think as we were having a little chat leading up to this, I thought I shaped this bit of a question for you. Okay, are you ready? All right. As a semi-retired teacher, self-confessed lifelong, I sort of almost felt like I was talking about myself.
Talking about yourself? Yeah, I know. I know.
I'm going,
we're peas in a pod.
Yeah, she sounds like me. But I'm not at the semi-retired bit yet. I'm still working full-time. But anyway, so sorry. Back to the first question. As a semi-retired teacher, self-confessed lifelong learner who has loved your teaching career and would consider yourself, what would you consider? Oh, goodness. Ruth, can I just
start
ask
again?
Yeah, I'm just going to start again. Ready? And I'm not even going to edit this out because, all right. As a semi-retired teacher, self-confessed lifelong learner who has loved your teaching career, what would you consider the highlights or the joys or the power or the learnings from your teaching career? Like, it's a really big question.
It is a huge question. And look, I think the big answer is Kodai. Discovering Kodai or stumbling across it when I was 10 years into my teaching career was just so formative. And I love Kodai's belief that every person has musical aptitude and musical instruction should take place at a young age through the simultaneous training of a child's ear, mind, heart, and hand. And that's been so informative in my career. I moved as soon as I really got code-eyed, as I say. It's like getting religion, like, hallelujah, what,
Mhm.
where has this been hiding all my life? I couldn't believe that I had been locked out of this. How could I not have found this earlier? And so it was really important for me, but it basically changed my whole world, and it formed my teaching philosophy throughout my years. And each Kodai course that I took strengthened my teaching and musicianship, and therefore my enjoyment of teaching. You get, I was doing better and I loved doing it more. So I've never stopped trying to improve. And I think that's the joy about teaching, and which is where the publishing has come in, that you're always trying to do better. You're trying to innovate and improve and be the best you can be. So that has been the big power in my career. But adding on from that was the professional learning that I've gained from John Feyerabend, doing his first steps when he first came to Australia in 2008, I think it was. And Davina and I went to Sydney to do it, and it was life-changing. It was just, why have we been singing with the students? Why are we not expecting them to catch the song without our help? And that was pretty powerful. I think since then, I have focused more on the development of listening skills with the students, and that has made them more musical. It's amazing. And then the other impact on my lifelong learning has been observations, and that's where we met. When I came to Queensland, I organised the 6 schools over 10 days in my first long service leave, and your school was one of them. And I went to Brisbane and met all these amazing Kodai teachers and had a fabulous time. Consequently picked up all the bugs from 6 schools and got on the flight for my
No.
first European vacation at the ripe old age of 50. And I was sick as a dog. I had no voice, laryngitis, blah, 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 Anyway, so I don't recommend that potentially if you're not quite well. But, and then a couple of years later, I had a week in London as part of another trip to watch some colour strings classes, the Guildhall with Cyrilla Roselle, and also I saw an Aussie, expat Aussie in a girls' school over there, and I saw the growth mindset in action, and we didn't know what that was called at the time, but it's since been really, really powerful in my teaching. And then another powerful impact on my learning and my career has been going to visit John Feyerabend in Connecticut and watching Lily in her classes and seeing Karen Howard in her classes just before she finished teaching as a career and went into her PhD. So, and I got to go to an Oak conference. So that I've had a very fortunate time. I've worked hard. My mums would say, "Oh, you've been very lucky in your teaching career," and I'd say, "Yes, the harder I work, the luckier I am."
get.
So, and it's not just the content that I gained from these experiences. It was actually more the manner of the teaching that you just absorb, and really it imbues your teaching with it, going down from secondary to primary. is a big shift. And I've just come off the back of a term and a half doing a bit of teaching in secondary year 7 and 8 boys. And it reminds me that it is a big shift to come down to the, you need to be gentle and welcoming of these children, because you are very informative in the socialization. When they're middle years, it's like, whoa, back off, lady. So it's a very different place, and you need every little trick in your kit bag to manage children growing up and learning to socialize.
I love it. And I
Yeah.
do agree with you that there is actually nothing like learning from that involves observation of other teachers working. And it's a real
Absolutely.
problem in our profession, because when you're working
Yep.
away in your school, not only do you not get a chance to go and watch someone else teach, there's no one near you anyway. Well,
Yep.
you had to fly to you didn't have to go that far, but you flew to Brisbane, you flew to the UK, you flew to
America.
And of course we're not saying that you have to go that far afield to find
No.
excellent examples, but you can't do it easily,
If you try to do it in your own state, you then have to get leave. So that, from your school to go and see someone teaching in another school in Melbourne, for example. And that seems to be harder than doing it on your downtime in holidays, etc. So in all of this, it was holiday time, or, pardon me, the Oak conference was in March in the middle of a term, and Caulfield Grammar had given me time off to say thank you for doing the acting head of for 8 months. So they said, what would you like to do? And I said, I'd love to go to the Oak conference. And so I put on the observation early, before that. And it's just making connections with Kodai people around the world, that it allows you to ask, look, would you mind? And could I? And Lily Fire and John were fantastic, supporting me in that. And, I think we're so fortunate to be in our field, Deb, where we are all friends.
Yes.
We all support each other. We all are about moving music education on to bigger and better things. And it's not about, tall poppy syndrome and, who does she think she is and all the rest. And I get that when I do my little videos, my teaching tips, and I think, oh my God, and I went to a conference recently and I had someone come running up to me and put their arms around me, and I'm going, oh, I don't remember your name. And she said, oh, do more videos, please, and then someone else said the same, and I went, oh gosh, really? So it's just about sharing and improving, helping. Every time you think about, every time I do one of those little videos, or I do a teacher training thing, conference, workshop, you learn so much because you're reflecting on your practice. And I think that's been the joy of everything I've done.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think probably if you look up the dictionary under lifelong learner, I'd say that one of the listings would be Ruth Friend, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But, I do agree 100% that when you present, or when you make videos, or when you do podcasts, all
Absolutely.
of these things, they're learning. They're learning for you, even if you're presenting and you're growing. And I'd love to go right back to something you said near the beginning of this chat. It actually adds to the joy of doing your job when you know that you have grown. There's sort of an excitement in your own development as a teacher, isn't there?
Absolutely. Yeah. And, I pity the teacher in any area who just keeps doing year after year after year after year the same thing the same way, because I will never do that. And I love the fact that every term, every year, we get to have a fresh start. And I don't think you get that in any other gig. because teaching, it's a new set of students and a new year, and you might have a different room or, whatever. And you can say, okay, this year I'm going to do this when they arrive in the classroom.
Yes.
I am going to have these expectations. And you start afresh, and each class comes in and, oh, okay, that's the expectation. So I have absolutely loved that journey.
And I do think that that's the difference. It's going to sound a little mean in a way, but it's the difference between a good teacher and a teacher that's not a good teacher. Really.
Yes, who's not responsive.
Not
Yeah.
responsive in any way. That's when you start getting that I'm feeling stale. But it is also just a mindset thing. Like you can look at that having to start over again, fresh and exciting. You could also go, oh my goodness, this
not
glass
again.
is half empty. A new set of kids. Oh, how many special needs kids are in here officially?
Yeah,
How on
absolutely.
earth am I going to cope with this child doing this? No, I've got that class after lunch. They're always so naughty after lunch. What am I going to do? I do think part of it is a mindset thing, because
It is. And
all
it's
of
being
those, yeah,
proactive.
yes, all of
It's
those
being proactive.
advantages could be disadvantages.
Yep.
It just depends on the way you look at it. And yes, proactive rather than reactive.
Absolutely. And that means it all comes down to being well planned. So, at Caulfield, I had a boy who was ASD, and he had an aide, which was great, who would always come to music. So that was great. And I knew that next year when I had him for my recorder classes in year 3, that he would go, whoa. So I organised for him to do the keyboard thingo with the program there with the earphones on, and he was great. The following year, we managed to get him onto the tuba in the band program, and he ended up in year 6 to be our best tuba player. So it's catering for, that wasn't that was only that segment of recorder in the lesson. I didn't sort of push him off to the side for the whole thing, but it was just, I knew that would do his head in. And when the parent got in contact with me and the homeroom teacher before we started music, I said, yeah, it's all under control, all done. So, if you plan ahead, then you are more likely to have success in your classroom, but each child will then have that feeling of success as well as a learner.
Yeah, fabulous. I love it. All right, I'm going to give you another official question, even though you've already talked about so much of this. Highlights or highlights of your journey as a music educator, and gratitude. For who are you most grateful? Because you've already mentioned a few things that have to be highlights, and people.
Exactly.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to add?
I think I was listening to one of your podcasts the other day, and I hear you that so many music teachers are out there, and they're it. They have no teaching colleague. And I have never done that. I have been so fortunate, and I've chosen to teach in the private sector where I do have a teaching buddy. And it has been the joy of my life, because, you're just about to go into the class, and how did that body percussion thing go again? And I'm always singing and dancing in my office, in the corridor with my teaching partner. That has been the joy. And so I've taught, these teaching partners have become lifelong friends. Claire Preston, who's now in Queensland, you guys are lucky up there, Marion Stafford, and Davina McClure, of course. And then working on choral projects with Paul Jarman. That was, so much fun, and the learning and the collaboration that goes into those sorts of things was just so joyful. So, making those lifelong friends has been a really core part of the journey. So music is my heart, my soul, and my life. You know, the friends are
Mm.
there. Yeah, it's pretty. And I
They're
know
a,
you and
they're a
uh, Deb.
Deb. Mm.
It's Deb and Deb.
Yeah,
The Deb
Deb
and
and
Deb show.
Debbie. We
That's
get
right.
called Deb and Debbie so that people who work with us a lot and know us well. I
No,
just don't
yeah,
ever get called Deb, and she
yep.
never gets called Debbie, and that way we
Okay, so
are distinguishable.
I will have to do that. So yep. Thank you,
So
Debbie.
yeah, if someone calls me Deb, I think, oops, where is she?
Who is she? Where is she?
But you really have to form those relationships. If you don't have
Mm,
someone at the desk beside
y-
you,
that's right.
and I've been really fortunate. I've worked with a lot of amazing people, but
Mm,
often they're on shorter term projects. But
right.
luckily with Deb and I, as we got to starting to work together, we're going, okay. And mind you, we enable each other too.
Yes,
We enable. I go,
absolutely.
I've got a good idea, Deb, but we think, oh no, here we go again, and we egg each other on. However, some good things have come out of that. Together sing.
What do you mean, however? You mean because of that, it's, big. So Davina and I are very much like that. We just complement each other as well. So it's it's a wonderful partnership, 20 years long now.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Mm.
That's so good, isn't it? Okay. Tell us a
And
bit. Oh, no, go on.
gratitude, sorry. Yeah,
No.
no, and I should not omit my beautiful Kodály teachers. So Julia Piggin
Oh,
and
yes.
Mark O'Leary in
Yes.
Victoria and the Queensland team in when I caused the flood in 2011, coming up to do my first and only summer school.
Oh, no.
I do apologise, Brisbaneites, because
We
I did
forgive you.
feel that I'd caused the Brisbane flood coming up there. She's finally getting here to do her, her
Summer school.
summer school. And yeah, we got flooded out. That was an experience. So Marie Hennessy,
Oh,
etc. Yeah, it's amazing people.
beautiful people. Yeah, I
Mm,
agree. Gorgeous people. So tell us a little bit more about your publishing career and about that sort of publishing journey, because
mm.
I think it's very different now to what it would have been when you started on your journey.
Well, it certainly was, and so I'd been teaching flute for 15 years, and I was home with my second child, and he was 6 months old. And I just thought, oh, wow, I get an opportunity from 5 till 7 in the morning after his feed. I've got my own space. Now, some other people might have gone back to bed and read a book, but, no. So I started writing Put the Beat in Your Feet. And it was just a way of really putting down my teaching format for teaching flute with using the rhythm time names, which were not included in anything at that stage.
Mm.
And then also picking out the tricky parts of a song and putting them into finger teasers outside of the song material. So as a little technique thing. So, and I really honed the audio that went with that, and it focused on improvisation on the blues. So it had folk tunes, my own original songs, and the blues, because I had been brought up, through uni more so, improvising and working on my improvisation. Not that I'm a practicing jazz muso now, but I just thought it was so important to have students from the start creating.
Mm.
As soon as they play one note, they can start improvising. It's
And
actually a great tonguing practice.
oh, wonderful. And can I say, from the little that I know, not being an instrumental teacher, but I've certainly seen quite a bit, that's
Mm.
definitely something that's missing. The
Oh,
creativity, improvisation. There's a lot of, we're doing exercise 6 in the book. We're up to page 10.
it's
All
all
of,
very, yeah,
mm,
it's mind blowing. And And I mean, the thing about in the music classroom where you're all on in the same key on your tuned percussion or recorder, you can do it all together in unison. But when you get into a band context, then you're on concert B flat, or and it does get a bit harder with the other instruments. But just doing it on flute, it was such a joy to see my students once I finally published it. And I went through the submitting it to Allen's and to whatever was around at the time, but they said, no, we've got a flute tutor.
Yes.
Tick. So that was enough. And it didn't matter that this was a different approach. So I went ahead and got my $3,000 loan to publish and print it. And, it was a real learning journey. But it opened up so many doors to collaborate and talk with all the Australian flute teachers when I met them at a conference or something. And they were interested to talk to me about specific elements of, because I was basically saying, I'm out there. This is what I think. But it was a wonderful way of having really rich, meaningful discussions with other teachers who were, world renowned, who were saying, oh, yep, this and this. And so it was another learning journey. It was wonderful.
Can you still put the beat in your feet?
No, you can't. So what happened was I can't bear the business side of business, which is the whole tax and all that sort of stuff. And thank God for Davina's husband, Rod. Rod, he is amazing. And he does all that side. I just couldn't bear that whole thing. And so when the first print run of 1,000 student books ran out, I thought, no, I'm not going to pursue that. But that was sort of, at the time, I was heading towards meeting Davina anyway. So, it was good. But I think it, potentially something that I can pursue in my semi-retirement. But it was, I learned heaps from it, and it was a great experience. And it's sort of, I suppose, opened the door to the Take Note music journey, because when Davina and I met, I arrived at Caulfield Grammar and we'd been teaching for that year together. And I just said, I really am not happy with what's out there with the way of, a textbook for classes. So we started on working on book one for our prep students. And we had the sheets down the hallway, like, no, that needs to come first, that needs to come next, so the sequential nature of it was super important. And then we had her sister doing the graphics for the song pictures, and it just got bigger and bigger. And then I said, look, if we need this, so do other people. And that begat Take Note Music. So we spent years, probably 6 years, developing the first 3 books and trialing and perfecting. And then, so, the success of the whole business is based on the fact that we're both in the classroom, we're dedicated, hands-on, living it. And we keep it relevant to music teachers who want something carefully scaffolded and with lesson plans and worksheets and, a really wonderful Kodai writing program. So it sort of grew organically from that need for our preppies and grew from there, so that the books came first, and we've always aimed to keep improving them and, second editions, third editions, to meet the needs of people's feedback. And then all the other products came from, the resource kits came from, the song pictures and everything, standing in front of a blasted laminator with everything burning and crunkling and fair income. I just couldn't believe that that's what people did. So, so if we provide the books, then we should provide the other things that support the learning. And we didn't want teachers, I just didn't believe that teachers should be standing in front of photocopiers or laminators. That is not our core business. Our core business is planning and reflecting on your practice. spend your time doing that and you'll be a better teacher, not laminating your own this and that. And it's because we're so underfunded that people have had to do that. But, and then the fun parts of our publishing with Mrs. Clef, our ebook series, where that came out of Davina living on the farm with her chicken coop, and she came up with the concept, and then we worked on it together and recorded her chickens and had Mrs. Clef sing, and just it's a wonderful storybook for little kids, and then it unpacks the note names in the treble stave as the students get older. They understand this. And then I'd added the melodic contour journey that from those lovely music map books, that series.
Oh, yes, they're beautiful.
And all the things that I've developed through the classroom, the giant music stave kit, the xylo magnets, because, I had a bunch of year 5, mainly boys, who could not get the xylophone set up to play a pentatonic scale. And I would draw the pentatonic scale, the notes, the keys on that with an arrow going, now you take the F off and you take the B off. They still couldn't do it. And by the time I'd gone around and set them up, the whole class was, having a riot, of course, having a great old noisy time. So I thought there's got to be something better. And, so all of our resources have developed from the need for something in the classroom, and we've developed puppets, getting them made in Nepal. And we've got a partnership with Optimum because they've taken over the production of our xylo mags and our chime bar mags and the chime bar staircase and all that, because they're a bigger operation and they've got storage and all the rest. So that's worked really well for us. And the great thing, it's been sort of the whole family involvement. So my family working on laminating the flashcards and whatnot, and the kids paid off their overseas trips by doing we call it lovingly the sweatshop.
The sweatshop.
And my husband was called Bert for the warehouse manager, because he'd manage all the books. We'd need five of these boxes and whatnot. And Rod doing the banking and the business side of our business, and Davina's kids doing artwork for us and IT. And it's been a real two families joined together and working towards, just providing teachers with rich learning for their students.
Wonderful. That it really does sound like it was a fabulous time, and you helped lots of people. I do believe I am still using one of your ghosts.
Ah, lovely. Yes.
He's quite beautiful.
Beautiful ghost. Yes. Yeah.
So he's one of my vocalizers for my little kids. Yes.
Yeah, it's such a simple idea, isn't it? And I remember teaching the early learners at Caulfield and having our ghostie with the little, probably had 15 children in the class. And the concept of, woo, and the children would echo, and then I'd pass it to the next person, and they were supposed to create their own vocal exploration and then pass it. But the concept of passing, I realized that's a very difficult thing. I don't want to give it away. And who should I give it to? Well, it's around the, let's pass it around the circle. Oh, that was very, very difficult, I remember. But it was joyful to see them experience the joy of the echo coming back from the other children. It just was such a powerful social moment for them that what I just did, my friends did back to me. And that is really just wonderful feeling. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Oh, well, we'll have to put in some links and things, anything that you can think of that we'll pop them in the show notes so people can
That'd be great.
Pop on and check some things out. That would be good, because I also your tips, your tea and tips and tea.
Oh yes,
tipsy
teaching
tea.
tips and tea.
Tipsy tea.
To do that one time with the G and T.
G and T. G&T. Okay, I get it. I like it.
It's
Tipsy
teaching
tea,
tips and
G&T.
tea.
Love it. Yes. So we'll have to put people onto that too. I think there's some great things in there. All right. Now, this is what everybody's waiting for. Are you ready?
Yep.
Nuggets of fabulous, because you must have so many nuggets of fabulous. What do you choose? So I'm
Well,
interested to hear what you choose.
yeah. Well, look, I thought this section really is covered in teaching tips and tea because it began in 2020 with I did some videos because I was on 6 months of long service leave. I was going to travel to Canada and then we were locked down for the rest of our lives.
Oh,
So
wow.
I stayed home and I thought, well, look, it's an opportunity to share a few ideas for teachers who are struggling with the whole online learning, and it must be so horrendous. And then I moved into it when I got back to school later in the year. But I just did think, like we said at the start of our chat, that, I've got all this experience and I'd just like to, if I can help 10 teachers, imagine how many students. If I can help 50 teachers, imagine how many students, 100, So the more I can help teachers with a little concept, a little idea, and it's not necessarily usually repertoire, it's more the pedagogy and it's the classroom management, it's techniques for maximizing your teaching time, because we get such a little time. Even if I did have, at one stage I had music every day for my preppies for 4 days a week, 20 minutes. And even if I had that, I still trying to maximize every second I've got. I don't want to waste any time. And one of the beautiful things about that is the musical cues that I use to tell them what to do and to come back to the mat or go and find a place to move or get a partner or whatever. They're all amazing for less talk, more action. And you just sing something. And one day I lost my voice, and it was 6 months into the prep year, and I thought, okay, and I had a new learning support officer in the classroom looking after someone. And so I got my recorder out and I played do 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 do, and they knew that was the sitting on the mat, please. And they'd say, they just ran in and sat on the mat. And then I went, find a place for move it, standing up, and I just played that, and off they went. They found their own space in the room, and the teacher's looking around, going, "What the heck is happening?" Unbelievable. And then it was, looking for a partner, I could do the entire class using the melodic cues and playing a piano. I didn't have to sing.
That's magic.
Couldn't sing. I couldn't talk. It was amazing. Let's face it, we all lose our voice at some stage of the year.
I think this is like Pied Piper. Eat your heart out.
I think that, and I got that idea, the old Yamaha, when I started my teaching, doing preschool teaching when I was at uni, and it was, playing the C minor thingo to get them to come back and sit on the mat. And then it was back to the keyboards, and it was just all that. So I thought, okay, using that idea, I can make up these little songs, and then they just become the melody. And the kids respond.
What a fabulous!
I wish I had a video of the class, because the astonishment on this teacher's face was just, she had no idea what was happening. It was great.
I just love it. Can I say I am so going to start doing that? That is amazing.
So that's one of the teaching tips, and I think, not sure whether I've got the notation, but I might put that on the website so that everyone's got the melodic cues on there. I'll write a note to myself.
But even just the concept, people can develop their own.
Yeah. And look, people have a welcome song and whatnot, but it doesn't enhance the transitions of the class. And the less talk we do, the better. You know, now, girls and boys, I'm going to ask you to move over there and make a circle. I just go from one thing to and they can see you making a circle with your hand. You then hold your hands out and it looks like, yeah, we're going to hold hands. So you don't need to use all those words. They just get in the way. And kids, we know, less is more, less words. And I suppose the other nugget of fabulous is movement. Just keep them moving. So even with the older kids, it is a whole body experience and it is experiential learning. You cannot be not involved in the music making if you are doing it, if you are putting body percussion on your body, or you are doing a dance, some sort of dance. So what I love from John Feyerabend especially is the Move It series. Do you use those?
I sure do.
Oh, aren't they? They are absolute gold. And I see them as moving meditations. When you do the sati or the respiki, and I've got little prep boys because I taught at St. Kevin's College, doing the beautiful movements and the extension. And we work, absolutely, we work on extension. And, it was not that everyone, of course, in the class is going to be looking like a dancer, and then it's the enjoy that delicious space out there when we're doing creative movement. Like enjoy that beautiful, you could skip sideways, you could skip forwards, you could skip backwards. Well, a lot of them can't skip, but gallop or whatever, or travel in those ways. And the move-its give that whole clear way of experiencing the learning. They learn about form, compositional techniques of dynamics, texture, instrumentation, and tempo. They're all in there. And then you don't have to talk about form. It's just like, well, you don't have to teach form is what I'm saying. Well, that first section, that's where we do this. And then the second section is when we do this. And we call that A and then B. It's so clear. So I've been, since all our lockdowns, I've been working on our own couple of move-its. So we call them Listen and Move. And they are coming very soon. So we've just done the videography of it in April. And we're doing Grieg's Peer Gynt Suites. Beautiful. And we've done In the Hall of the Mountain King. And that's a creative movement lesson. So a way of supporting teachers to, here's an idea for a warm up for your kids, and you can either use me up there or you can learn it yourself, and but it's trying to support people in getting out of their comfort zone. Because I was lucky enough to do training I did my movement and dance grad dip after my undergrad, and it was fantastic because I feel very comfortable dancing, and I've never done ballet or anything like that. I'm definitely not a ballerina. I walk like a truckie and, very determined and all the rest, but you don't have to be a dancer to dance. And people need to get out of that mode of, it's very confronting to me. It's like improvisation. I was really lucky in many ways not to go to Melbourne Uni. I went to Melbourne State College. I lacked a lot of other things that Melbourne Uni students got, but I got a really good grounding in improvisation. And I think that willingness to have a go at things is, oh my God, that's the lifelong learner thing again.
Yes. And I do believe really firmly, especially for children, before they have built up all of their
inhibitions.
Inhibitions, that's the word. Every child is a musician. Every child is a dancer. Every child moves. So,
Yep.
who are we to put those limits on them? It's
Mm.
our job to allow them to
Open the world.
continue to be
Yeah,
musicians, continue to be composers, continue to be what a choreographer. Like
yep,
they just can do that. Our job is to just keep applying the skills. And like you
that's
were
right.
talking about with Move It, that actually gives them a raft. The Respighi, you're doing this. It's one of my favorites. And aquarium. Yeah.
Absolutely.
In fact, I turned aquarium into a performance. All of my preppies, they all had two
Oh,
scarves
oh,
and they did it with
absolutely
scarves.
beautiful.
And it was just the audience was, because every little prep, the most energetic one, was still doing this beautiful, so it's our job to build their
Mm,
vocabulary, isn't it?
mm. And their confidence.
And their confidence. Yes.
Yeah,
So I'm with you,
absolutely.
and we need to use movement. Absolutely.
Yeah. And
I'm
I
with
think
you.
I don't play I don't spend that much time doing Kodai singing games. I do more movement because I feel that, okay, why don't we do now that song? Once they know the song and you've done the game once, but I will then move away from it, doing the game again, and move it into more, okay, let's put the beat in your feet and we're going to do simultaneous beat and rhythm.
Yes.
So by the end of prep, they're doing tick tock, tick tock, bluebells, cockle shells, and they're doing the with their feet, and they're moving the TikToks. And then some of them, so you'll get about a quarter of the class able to do beat and rhythm simultaneously by the end of prep. Holy moly! And if the
Wow.
other ones, yeah, and it's just a matter of practice,
Mm.
isn't it?
Mm.
And we all know how beatfulness is so important in the development of children. And you can see the students with ASD have not that capacity at all. And we actually had, after Anita Collins' research came
Mhm.
out, and Anita did a workshop for the language teachers, and one of the year one teacher went along to that, and she said, "Oh, Ruth, be really great if we could observe the incoming preps on the orientation day to allocate them to classes. Would you be able to do a music activity for them for 20 minutes? And we will say, oh, yes, there's Whoosy Bob and Whoosy Bob and Whoosy Bob, they are special needs." And because parents don't want to tell you that they are special needs, they want to keep it quiet, or they have not investigated and they don't know.
Mhm.
So there are many more that come out of the woodwork in that session. And for the last 4 years, we did that. And the prep teachers would observe, and the head of teaching and learning would come, watch and go, oh, yep, yep, right, right, right. So we better split them up so that they're between the two classes. And it was so good. But, the more of that we could do, the better, because that's all about the advocacy work,
Yes. Which
yeah.
actually leads perfectly into the question I like to ask about advocacy, because it sounds to me, certainly the school that you were in, well, everything you've said sounds to me like they really value music education and
Yes, yes.
value what it offers the children, and
Mm.
understand what it offers the children. So, but not all of us are lucky enough to be in a position like that. So, what would be your advice around advocacy, apart from some of it we can glean from what you've said?
Yeah.
Things like, well, if your teachers and your staff are informed about the power of what you do and the
Mm.
benefits of what you do, of course they're going to be more on side. So, what's your advice for people to develop this understanding and other things around advocacy?
Um, I'll just step back a bit in your observation there. The school had embedded um, a, a, an investment in the music teachers, like the music. There were so many salaried instrumental music teachers in the team that I worked with, but they didn't really understand what I was doing in Kodai. They didn't really get it. And if they didn't understand, the head of junior school, I was told, oh, no, James says no. I said, oh, okay. So I'd go back and I thought, okay, he doesn't get it. It's on me to unpack it and explain why I need to ask for ABC. I never got knocked back in anything in 10 years.
Wow.
Once I asked for a year 3 string rehearsal after school every fortnight. So we'd have 3A one week and 3B the next week for their string rehearsal in their program. And he didn't want it to start straight away. So we had to wait till week 5. There we go. That's fine. I still got what I wanted, but we just had to wait those first few weeks. And so it was basically, I would say to everyone, you've got to explain what you do and why you're doing it and what you need to make it better. So don't expect that people get it. The whole thing of leadership, getting what you do, is just bunkum, unless you've got a musician as a principal. So, and whilst they might value, my head of junior school valued music, and he would comment on the singing at assembly and say, wow, that sounded really good. And would say, Mrs. Friend, is that a new hymn? And he was always, very supportive, fantastic working in that sort of situation. But I think the best way of advocacy within your school would be to ask the homeroom teachers to come and collect their children 5 minutes before the end of the lesson. And they can catch 5 minutes while you're doing the final segment of the lesson. And, Mrs. Smith, you should have seen the boys doing this thing. Boys, are you ready? Shall we show Mrs. Smith? And Mrs. Smith then gets to see, wow, look at Johnny. He does not show that possibility, those capabilities, that socialization, etc., when we do other things in class. So it's really important that we share what we see in our classroom with the other teachers. And some are more happy to do that than others, of course, as we know. And we know what benefits those students get out of it when you're very collegial with the other staff members. Yes. And it just serves to give the students more and more success. But the other things would be to have your open classroom program or a video classroom segments, so that you can share them with parents, and even the classroom teacher might have a look. If they've got nothing on, a wet weather day, they might say, oh, let's show you a little video of your music lesson, and the kids would be very happy to see themselves.
Yes.
And I must say, I don't know whether I've ever done that and showed the students, because you run out of time. I want to do more learning, not just watching what we did. But that also allows them to reflect, doesn't it? Because I'm saying I reflect on my learning and my teaching. So they can also see, oh, that's why I was asked to sit out. Oh, that wasn't really a very good choice, was it? Oh, okay, I understand. But I think, as Anita Collins says, that we educate to advocate. Because you have to educate effectively to advocate. And I see that my students are going to come through with a love of music, with a better sense of self as a successful learner. And I think that is really an important, the important element in our teaching. So, I figure my role now as an experienced teacher is to focus on mentoring and teacher training. And with the current teacher shortage, it's just so much more important now than ever. Encouraging students when they're in year 6, I talk about right, well, if you do this, then, you're on the way to year 11 and 12 music. And I talked to them about the pathways, what you can be doing. Then
Mm,
if you choose to do an instrument as your year 12 subjects, you then get to stand up and practice rather than do more book work or computer work. You've got to show them the journey. And when we talk about timbre and compositional elements, I'm always saying, well, these are the things that you do in year 11 and 12. This is what you need. These
mhm,
are the elements of what will help you become a musician. And if you want to pursue it further, then that's great. Doesn't mean that everyone who wants to do music is going to become a music teacher. And you can keep doing your cello just for the love of it. You
mm.
don't have to study, don't have to undertake undergraduate music, but it should be a joy in your life that is just something that makes you feel good, and it doesn't have to be a career. But I just think it's so important, the work that the neuroscientists have been doing, and aren't we in a great time in the music education to understand all that we know in our hearts has been the case. The way that the music binds us, and it is very important in the social communication system, bringing us together. And it's just amazing to see that we actually have evidence now for why all those students who would go up at the end of the term for their awards, 90% were musos. Oh, yep, muso. Yep, muso. These are academic awards.
Yes.
And there was always a connection, but, we were just music teachers. We didn't really know the reason. It was always the chicken or the egg. Did they do music, which made them more academically minded, or was it the other way? And it's a bit of both, but I think we can see the value. And I just think socialization that music can bring in the classroom, especially in prep, as they come in as new learners, getting to know how to be a social being and develop their sense of self. It's been, so important.
Mm, yes, absolutely. It is an exciting time to be
Yeah.
able to access that new research. And I
Mm,
love that concept too. You were talking about showing the children, your students, the path and the possibilities moving forward.
mm.
I think that's a slightly different way to look at things too. I
And
love it.
I'm pretty, in lockdowns, I did a bit of uh, training in the year 11 and 12 curriculum so that I could understand more of what they were heading towards
Mm,
now that it's changed. But, if you can understand where they're going in their learning, then you know what is important now. And I don't usually dumb down. I don't say the particular sound of an instrument. I say timbre,
mhm.
you know, fairly early on, so that they are really coming into using Italian time names and Italian words and all that sort of stuff.
They should absolutely understand
Mm.
our meta language.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
they should absolutely.
Yeah. Mm.
There is some great advice there around advocacy. Gee, I've loved talking to you, Ruth.
Me too.
It's so good. But before we go, and I'm sure that everyone else listening has just got so much from this chat, but I like to just say, do you want to just get on your soapbox to finish off with, giving the world an important message from Ruth Friend?
Oh my gosh, the pressure. Um, yes, where do I go? I think that our sense of well-being is developed through music so effectively, more than anything else. When I see well-being classes where they're doing these games and people take turns and blah blah blah, I think, oh, I could do that so much more easily in class in music, and they would be listening to Mozart. Or, I really think we pack a big value punch in the music classroom that covers all areas. Absolutely. So that is huge. And I think the more of this research with the neuroscientists, it just really backs us up more and more with everything. And the way that being exposed to music at a young age teaches children to orally recognize different sounds and rhythms. It supports their memory and their language development. And we know that music affects the brain. So whether they're listening, playing, or learning, they are finding strong correlations between the positive brain function and music. That really makes me so excited about the future and music. And it does mean that we are able to create enriching classes for students. And if we can maximize our time with them, we get even more value out of our time with the students. I think one of the important things is that we shouldn't underestimate the importance of listening skills. Music teachers, if we're using, and I really do think that the John Fire-Abbott approach of I sing for the students, they sing for me, was so cathartic in my teaching, because they did a lot more listening. And I think that we develop listening skills explicitly in music that are not developed in any other subject area. We have so many students with the auditory processing issues that the more we develop their listening skills, they have, through music, they have better motor skills, improved memory, verbal and literacy skills, and that impacts maths and all the rest. But their listening skills mean that they might be able to listen to it in a conversation, not just talk over the next person. So it's life skills, not just in music and enhancing the brain development, but that whole community making and socialization of the whole person. Now, I was going to say, I've forgotten something there, but
No, have a look. You don't want to forget something important.
Yeah. No, I think it was something to do with the listening skills, but yeah, I think the positive impact on the way children interact on a social level is what I see as the joy. It's not that they can sing beautifully in tune, it's not necessarily that they have that I've seen an amazing improvement in their skills. It's that joy that they're able to work together and enjoy the challenges of a canon or part work, and the eyes lighting up that oh, is that really something I could possibly achieve? And I think that has always kept me excited in the journey of music education. So now I might just pause there. There was something that we were doing in Take Note that I was.
Yes. Yeah, I'll put some notes in that my lovely editor will just, so you can take your time and she can just cut.
Yeah, thank you. So the listening. Oh, okay. there was one more thing that I would say for a golden nugget is the development of based on John Feyerabend's I Sing For You and You Sing For Me, I developed a 4-prong approach where we had year level singing, so 140 students at a time. And so if there was a new song with many phrases and particularly intricate intervals, etc., I would sing the phrase for them. They would then mouth the words, or put the words on your lips, reading the words. Then they would mouth the words and show the melody, melodic contour, and then it was their turn to sing. Now, if they get to the third point and they can't show the melodic contour very well, you realize they've gone down instead of up. Say, I'll just sing it one more time for you, and you show the melody, I'd say. And then you can see that over here and over there that they've got the melody now, and now it's your turn to sing. And then the teacher does not sing for the student. You back off. And I think that's the hardest thing I've been able to encourage my co-teachers not to do. So I'm forever doing this. Put your finger on your lips, because you mustn't sing with them. If we don't know whether they've caught the song, if you sing over them, if you sing with them, and they're just split second singing behind you and hanging on for dear life to your singing.
Yes, I love that. And what did you call that? You said it's a 4-prong.
Oh, it's just a 4-prong approach.
4-prong approach.
Yeah, 4-step approach to singing a more complex song. So you do phrase by phrase, and that's how we would do hymns and that sort of our Christmas carols and all that sort of thing. And that was a game changer. Because previously, they'd laboured before I arrived, they'd laboured over things and they didn't get things right, and then they'd go back and fix this, and it's very messy. It's not maximising your time. And this way, they are listening for 3 times and singing once. Look at all that listening. And this is 140 boys all together in a chair, mind you, not on the floor scrambling around. 3 times listening, 1 time singing. And I had the prep I had 50 boys together in my prep singing on Friday, all together, and they did 80% listening, 5% singing, 5% dancing.
Wow. That's a lot, isn't it?
Absolutely.
A lot of listening.
And because we did picture storybooks,
yes.
yep. And the lovely ones where John Feyerabend has them give a little response, and so they're doing 5% singing. I'm singing all the rest of it. They've got 5%, and then you are doing. You might be singing a new song while they're doing an activity, a body percussion or something or other, whatever it is. There was a lot more coming from me than them. We did, of course, Gustav Moll. What a gem that is.
Yes.
And miming. So they would always mime what the instrument that they were hearing. So I would, and be very careful. I was very careful to mirror the violin.
Yes.
Not on the right, yeah. So they would do that. And so they're listening. When they're dancing, when they're moving, when they're doing, well, you walk and you walk and you walk and stop. And then I would do it on an instrument, and I wouldn't sing it, so they would know. And then they tiptoe and stomp and skip and all around. They're listening and moving. So that develops so much. And let's face it, when the preppies arrive, they do not listen well at all.
No.
Understatement of the century. So I think that's it. Deb?
I think that
Debbie?
is That is, oh no, you can call me Deb when it's just by myself.
Oh, no, I'll get into a bad habit then.
Oh, look, it's been just magic. Ruth, thank you so much for your time. And I know that the listeners got so much out of listening to you. So thank you very much.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. It's been wonderful to have time to chat with you because we only met in your classroom and of course you were teaching, and we haven't had conferences and things like that to catch up with, and I was sick at the last one, the last national. So I do look forward to touching base with you more regularly.
Yes, me too.
Good.
Take care, Ruth.
Thanks so much, Deb. Bye, listeners.
As we know, laughter relieves stress. Don't lose sight of the funny side of life. I always wanted to be a Gregorian monk, but I never got the chance. There's a music one for you. Thank you so much for watching our Crescendo Music Education podcast. For more information about all things crescendo, including membership and music education resources, visit us at crescendo.com.au. Don't forget to like and subscribe.